Welcome to Two Balls and a Mic. Today we're going to go ahead and have the opportunity to interview the Director of Communications for the USL Championship, Mr. Scott Stewart. How are you doing, Scott?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it. Good to talk to you.
We love it, man. And things are like we were saying right now are moving fast, and we have a date. We have new rules even as of today. So really exciting things happening in the USL. Admittedly, with Loyal coming into San Diego, we started following the USL a little closer, and we've honestly fell in love with it. What can you tell us about what USL has planned for this reopening?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's first off, I appreciate the time. It's obviously great to talk to such passionate fans, and especially in a great market like San Diego. We love the Loyal. Unfortunately, you guys have already knocked off 2 of those games, right? So it's about what you guys can do from here. But it's been great, right? I think it's later this week you'll see some announcements regarding a lot of the competition structure. A lot of the sort of where teams are going to be and what that's going to look like as we return to play, right? So we're all excited. July 12th has been a date marked on the calendar for a little bit now, but the most important thing for us is getting back safely, prioritizing the protection and the health of the players, the technical staff, and hopefully where applicable, the fans as well.
Definitely, and honestly, USL is doing a great job at wherever they start a team, wherever they begin, just whatever it is that their USL is doing, it's working, and fans are coming in from everywhere. I can tell you here in San Diego, it's a market that needed a soccer team, and it's a market that it's a culture here, soccer culture that deserved one more than anything.
Yeah, and that's great credit to Warren Smith and Andrew Alacides, and obviously Landon and his team there, right? He's got fantastic assistants, and Nate and Carey. I mean, what that club has built in such short time, but also the way that they were still able to integrate the community and make sure that your voice was heard, make sure that you guys were the priority in this process. It's beyond respectable, right? It's almost a miracle. But we've really enjoyed seeing things turn out as they have there. An unfortunate draw in game number 1, but obviously I think expectations are high for you guys. We're all excited to see everybody back on the fields.
Yeah, so, how would you say, having a team from San Diego, how has it impacted the USL? San Diego being a pretty large city in the country, so how has it impacted the league?
Yeah, that's a great question, right? San Diego is obviously a massive market. You have a couple in-state rivalries, especially Sacramento. But as we look at what San Diego provides to the league, it just helps us continue to expand our footprint and provide professional opportunities in as many major markets as possible, right? We are on an incredible growth track leading into the 2026 World Cup in North America. We could not be more excited by the growth that USL has experienced, not just at the championship level, but at League One and even League Two as well, right? The USL properties have only begun to get stronger and stronger, and as they continue to fortify, important times, because this is the era where we can put the real building blocks in place to be able to do some incredible things, not just now, but in the future as we look to make this league even more sustainable and even more robust, building on the incredible history it already has.
So what would you say, and give credit to, because USL is attracting a lot of great names, even USL 2, we have our friend up in San Francisco, Jimmy Conrad, who's head of the San Francisco Glens. These are important names. He's a capped U.S. national. You have Landon here in San Diego. You had Winalda at Las Vegas Slides, but these are names of worth and in international soccer. When you hear U.S. national team, you think of these personalities. So, what do you think is attracting these players, former players, to believe in the USL so much?
Yeah, another fantastic question, right? And you mentioned Jimmy and you mentioned Landon, 2 incredible people. Jimmy's been great to work with on the League Two side, Landon, of course, on the championship side. But even, David Villa in Queensboro right now, Tim Howard in Memphis right now. As the league status continues to grow, I think that only will help it solidify itself as a very prominent professional major league in this country. And to your question, though, to your point, I think it's an incredible growth opportunity. A lot of these people have buy-ins to their local communities, right? Obviously, Landon's ties to Southern California, Tim's ties to Memphis. I mean, these are people who want to return, and even David Villa, who is obviously not from Queensboro, right? But he has ties after time with NYC there, and it's an area that means a lot to him. And so I think we look at a perfect mix, not necessarily perfect storm, because that would imply we were heading in the wrong direction, but a truly perfect mix of incredible personalities, incredible leaders, prominent soccer minds who want to return to a community in which they are immediately impacted by. And what Tim and Landon and David have laid down, the likes of DeMarcus Beasley, who was an incredible national team player and star for the Houston Dynamo, is going to do for a league and a market, League One, and a market like Fort Wayne. So I think it's a culmination of things, but man, we could not be more thrilled with the level of superstars that we have that are truly invested in this league. Even a credit to Didier Drogba, who hung them up in Phoenix a couple years ago, but was a massive, massive player and huge achievement for the championship, not just because of what he brought on the field, but just the presence and the professionalism he brought off it as well.
Yeah, I think only somebody like Didier Drogba can start a soccer team in the middle of Phoenix and have it succeed as well as it has. And yeah, I mean, it's all credit to the USL. Again, things are getting done right. And it's one of those things where, we're fans of the Liga MX and, some other leagues as well. And sometimes we see MLS, USL do some things that we'd like to see implemented, or just leadership in such a way. And it's kudos to you guys, because you can feel it. It's palpable. It's happening. Something's brewing. And again, that 2026 World Cup is just a giant target for us as well. That's why we started this podcast, to get media passes for the 2026 World Cup. So
there you go.
So
build it slow.
Exactly. It's been working so far, but yeah, it's great what USL is doing.
Yeah. So say everything's going great. We're about to start the league. Midway through the season, say a player, hopefully it doesn't happen, but say a player does happen to test positive for COVID-19. What would be kind of like the steps that the league takes after that?
Absolutely. So that's an important question right now, right? We are certainly cognizant of what we're stepping into. And the most important thing for us, again, to reiterate, is always going to be the health, safety, and wellness of the players and the technical staff and the fans that are involved in that, right? So without being able to divulge too much into our informational processes, we are involved in a robust task force that involves Major League Soccer, the NWSL, ourselves, and of course the U.S. Soccer Federation, that has been guiding us significantly throughout this process, and their ability to give us direction and sort of show us the light wherever it is, in conjunction with the fact that we are in constant communication and are working with local and state health authorities as well. Those are the things that have allowed us to put in place a very comprehensive return to play health protocol, health and safety protocol, which is going to be made available to the public, because we're confident in what we have put together, because we believe, along with very prominent people in the medical field as well, we believe that it is going to be robust enough and strong enough to hold fast and hold through what is an evolving situation, right? This is a novel virus. We've never seen anything like this, and Lord knows I'm praying every day we never see anything like this again. But again, we are always going to approach this as players and technical staff and fans first. And we, of course, are here to take guidance from that task force, but lean on local and state health officials as much as we can throughout this.
Yeah, definitely. Safety and health of everybody involved is paramount, as you said. And, stepping a little bit into this area, just, it's a reality we're all living in right now. And it's unfortunate, but it's crazy how you guys have been able to still maintain that across the board, because I follow a couple of USL teams, Twitters and stuff. Across the board, everybody's been staying positive, and at the end of the day, you guys have been maintaining relevancy throughout this. How hard has it been?
I didn't have to wear a mask to do this.
Yeah.
So that's the big win here, right? There's no mask on when we're inside. That's A-okay with me.
Yeah, exactly. But how difficult has this been? Obviously, it's been must be just an incredible undertaking. But to be able to, as a director of communications, to be able to have that communication of things that are changing so rapidly, how has that changed in your office per se, your home office? I assume.
Yeah, home office. That's the right way to put it, right? But I'm extremely fortunate to be under an incredible leader in our VP of Communications, Ryan Madden, a guy with extensive communications experience. We have Nicholas Murray, who heads up our editorial side, both of their insight combined with, I feel like I'm going to pat us on the back a little bit here. So we just kind of got to preface that as we go into it. But the operations team headed up by Brett Louie and the work that they put in, not just in terms of scheduling and competition format and all the exciting announcements, right? But a lot of the tougher decisions, like stepping in on the task force, being a lead voice in that department, our legal team, who I don't know, they might sue me if I give up their names, but our legal team is incredible as well, right? It's a big blessing. I'm very fortunate to work with that group every single day. But at the end of the day, right, the credit continues to go to these medical officials in our country who are helping guide us throughout this, right? And that includes the U.S. Soccer Federation's chief medical officer. We are working with a very experienced, knowledgeable task force that continues to help us go step by step, because we all know that a single misstep could be of consequence, right? So we are always looking to those who are the most appropriate voice in that space, do have the knowledge, do have the capability to help guide us through that process. And we would not be here today without every single party involved in this.
Agreed. Yeah.
So for me, it's my understanding like the MLS is also returning, but they're going to be in Florida having their games. So what different steps did the USL take compared to the MLS that you guys are able to have the teams play in their home fields?
Yeah. I think it's probably important to just start with the fact that we would not be here again without the guidance of some prominent medical officials, and they are the ones who have helped us decide that our return to play protocols, but also our health and safety protocols that were agreed to by the USLPA, that both of those items were strong enough to withstand the sort of the weight of what has been an evolving crisis across our country, right? Like, I think it's important to state that we are very confident in where we are at in this process, but as it continues to evolve, we will always lean on their guidance, because without their knowledge, without them being able to coordinate our processes with local and state health officials, it would not be very amenable to us to make this decision. But in saying that, right, we are extremely excited to be the first major professional sports league in this country to return to play in home venues. That's a significant step for the USL Championship. And just as importantly, as the Players Association has agreed to those health and safety protocols, we do have an incredible team that has been working at a high level with the U.S. Soccer Federation chief medical officer, among some other names that you guys will learn in due time when these are published, that this is a plan that we feel very, very good about, but are always going to stay on top of something that is hard to get a full grasp of in the moment.
And so with a different setup of the season, not necessarily as drastic as the MLS and their tournament style play, what can we expect from the restart of this season? I assume that, some players that were maybe out of an injury are coming back across the board, and some players might not even be in the same teams or whatnot. But what can we expect with this return to play as far as what can be new, or what exciting aspects can we expect?
Yeah, I think this is where time has kind of been in favor of those who have been unfortunate on the injury side, right? But what we're really excited for is, of course, we just recently announced that the training moratorium has been lifted in the championship to allow guys to get back to full-sided training on Wednesday. That's hugely significant, because we are then looking at anywhere between 18 to 25 full days of full-sided training before our first game, right? So the expectation is that the quality of play does not drop, is not diminished in any way, shape, or form. We know that these guys are hungry to get back out there. I know we've all seen the training content. We've all seen their social media posts. Yeah. They're chomping at the bit. They want to hear that whistle. They want to find the back of the net a couple times. But I think that's been the most encouraging part of this process, right? We have a great group of players who are extremely talented, will perform at a high level, and are desperate to get back to the field and improve what they can do this year. So even though it will look like a different season than in years past, I think it still has, you could argue, potential to be one of the most entertaining seasons in the history of the league.
And memorable for sure. Like every single
memorable for sure.
Every single game, it has much more importance, and nobody's going to forget this season, the restart of the season.
Yeah. So I mean, is there any chance at all? Maybe not at the beginning, but maybe towards middle of the season, towards the end, of fans being able to being allowed into the games?
Yeah. Absolutely. So I think that's one of the key components of this, right? As we continue to work with the local and state health officials, we rely on them and sort of their guidance as to what is acceptable in terms of public capacity, right? So we've recently seen an example in Louisville where with the brand new opening of Lynn Family Stadium there, the state of Kentucky has allowed them to, allow fans of up to 50% capacity. However, the club is taking additional measures to be safe and discovering whether that's even a possibility for them, right? I think Mitch Reed, their very talented VP of sales and marketing, said in an interview earlier today that he might be looking at anywhere between 30 to 40% just to be safe, right? Because that's always going to take precedent. So we are excited to be able to welcome fans back in home venues. I think that's a big part of taking that first step on July 11, as long as the provisional date holds true. But we're always going to lean on what the local and state health officials say, because at the end of the day, those are the ones who are tapped into their communities the most and continue to provide us the most knowledge as it relates to our decision-making process.
I like it. It's better safe than sorry. I think that's going to be the motto for everything just moving forward. Mm-hmm. And so, again, with so many eyes, probably new eyes onto the USL Championship, with the scheduling and where it's at, if it is going to end up being the first professional league to have home games and even returning, how do you sell somebody who's brand new to the USL? How do you say, hey, look, there's this product. Maybe you're not such a huge soccer fan, but look, we have this local product, and you know, give it a gander, because sometimes we say as soccer fans, well, let me take you there. You have to see it live, something we can't do right now. So how do you talk that person into, all right, let's sit down, let's watch a game, let's cheer for something?
No, I love that, right? I think it's first and foremost, it's always going to be about supporting your local team. That is truly what we are built on. I believe that the championship is the most fans first soccer league in the country. I believe that we are very tapped into the grassroots initiatives that are in soccer here, and we have incredible fan bases all across the incredible footprint that the championship holds, right? And so I think what's important for us is to be able to give as much access to the product as possible, right? So we have a great relationship with ESPN. Hopefully we can see an increase in linear games, but beyond television, that's why we have ESPN Plus, right? So we're always going to try and point people back to your local club. The community that you're staying in right now is going to be the most important, because that club is there to not just play and not just win trophies, but they're there for you as well. They are there to represent the fans and be a true full spectrum of color as to what the fan base represents and what the city represents as a whole. And in some states, when you're the only one in there, you're representing the whole region, right? You're looking at everything. I know you guys don't have that luxury, but I know you're holding down the SoCal region well enough.
Yeah, we're trying, man. Our one home game is is lasting a while at this point.
In most other home games, I guarantee you that the opposition player probably won't score from 45 yards. So
Right.
I think you guys got a little hard done by there.
Yeah, no, I don't know. That was I forgot that.
Yeah, we
happened.
recently talked to.
That's in the past, my friends.
We recently actually talked to the
Jake
SD Loyal,
Fellinson.
Jake Fellinson, the goalkeeper, and he just told us that as soon as he took the step back, he kind of knew that he wasn't going to be able to get there. It was crazy goal.
Yeah, we were right behind the goal, and it was one of those things where again you see that quality goal, and people are quick to say, oh, that's just bad defending. That's just this. No, that's just good quality game.
Yeah.
Can you speak to that? I mean, how? I mean, we don't necessarily say is wow, Champions League world class. No, but there is very, very, very good quality games happening across the states. How have you seen that game grow in your time with USL?
Yeah, that's a great question, right? So I was lucky enough to work for Indy 11 as well as Louisville City FC before my time with the league office down here in Tampa. And of course, when I was with Louisville, I was only there a week when they won their first championship final in 2017, but I was with them the whole of 2018, and it's an incredible product, right? And there's a reason why Junior Burgos was like top 3 on SportsCenter the next day, right?
Yeah.
I'll never forget. I was at a wedding that night. So I'm supposed to be having fun. I'm supposed to be out with people, but I get back, and what's the first thing I do? I flip on ESPN News because I've got to see the opening game at Torero Stadium. I've got to see San Diego Loyal. And what happens within the first 10, 15 minutes? Something that none of us could have ever predicted. And that's sort of the beauty of our product right now, right? We have a lot of quality. We have a lot of ability in this incredible 35-team group. But there's always going to be something every single week that catches you off guard. And man alive, I think that won the catching you off guard prize for week 1. Did not expect it, but you guys showed your resilience. You battled back. You got your goal. You got the point. I think only good times are ahead in San Diego.
I agree.
Yeah,
definitely it's looking good.
So with the guidelines that have been implemented, I mean, and the people allowed in the games, first couple of games, what are the chances, for maybe 2 podcasters to be able to
From San Diego
to be able to get media passes again to one of the
yeah, there you
games.
go. No, I love it. I know we've got good people in San Diego, right? That front office is incredible, but we are still finalizing our media protocols as it relates to returning to matches as well. That's something we hope to be able to update everybody on soon. But again, you guys said it best. I can only repeat it. Better safe than sorry. We're always going to make sure that wherever we're at, venue specific, club specific, we're always prioritizing you guys and your health because that's the only driving factor as it comes to our return to play.
And we're looking forward to it. If we're going to have, social distance watch parties, and so be it, but at least we have something on the field and it's tangible. I do believe SD Loyal even had one of the last games in North America up in Tacoma where, there was no fans, and it was weird. The sponsors for SD Loyal is the Stone Brewery. There was a watch party, and I was watching it with Mr. Warren and company, and just it felt eerie even being there, just being weird. There was no fans. I was trying to explain to everybody, hey, in Mexico, if the fans just start beating the crap out of each other, they ban everybody. So it's not that unusual to see no fans, but there was something in the air. At what point did you guys just know it's just that's it, just gonna get shut down right then and there?
Well, there was that incredible fan shot around halftime of those like 3 or 4 fans that had made it onto the hilltop and were just waving the flag. Like that's probably my season highlight of 2020 so far are the rebels of the group who made sure that they got in and got what they needed to get done. But no, listen, it was truly an evolving process. It was a very fluid process, right? We relied on a lot of the guidance from early local and state health officials as well as the WHO. But what it came down to was a collective understanding of the situation as a whole. You looked at that point, what really triggered it in American sports, period, was Rudy Gobert testing positive at the Utah Jazz game, because not only did that set off the NBA, but the NBA triggered basically every other major professional sports league. I mean, I will never forget sitting in the office and seeing Major League Baseball cancel spring training, the NCAA tournaments canceled, all these conference tournaments are canceled. We were supposed to have a regional in Tampa. I'm an Indiana University guy, and we're a big basketball school. I had fingers and toes crossed I was going to be able to watch them down here. But I think we saw the evolving pattern, and credit to everybody who was on the ball, who was on top of that situation. That's our executive group. That's our board of governors, as well as every single health official, whether state, local, regional, or national, that played a part in helping us make that decision. It was one that came with somber, you know what I mean? Just because we knew that we had to postpone or suspend any amount of the season. But I think obviously where we're at today, it was a vital step, and I'm just grateful that we were able to rely on the people we were able to rely on to get us there.
And again, we thank all the work that's gone to this, because everything that's restarting, you know, before you can open the doors, there's countless hours that go behind the scenes to even get those doors open once again. And so, you know, from fans' perspective, thanks for everybody who's been working hard at it, because, you know, it's not easy just being there, unsure of what the next hour is gonna happen. You know, going back to that, you know, we had here in San Diego State University, who had an almost undefeated season, who was about to go into the NCAA tournament and could have gone deep, but you know, things like this just happen.
So I'm curious to know what would happen. Say some states, say maybe California, state laws change and they say no professional sports events, sporting events here in California at all. How would that affect those teams here from California? Would they have just away games, or how would that plan out?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't think that's something that I'm able to really commit to answering in full. But I do know, again, as this is a fluid situation, of course, we're going to continue to rely on the guidance from government officials, the ones who are most pertinent and most prominent as it relates to decisions like that. But we will always keep an eye on an evolving situation to make sure that we have as many return to play scenarios carved out as possible to avoid situations like that.
Yeah.
And again, thank you, and thank everybody who's working hard to make sure that it's done right and it's done well. But I mean, in this time, you know, everybody's pretty much been at home. And what have you been doing in this? I don't know what timeline you guys were on over there, but what have you guys been up to in quarantine to keep yourself sane and busy during these times with no sports?
Eating a lot of tacos. Eating too many tacos. Way too many tacos at this point. But I've caught up on my Netflix series. I've got a little bit of reading done, so that's been nice as well. But this will truly be the craziest story we can pass on to the next generation, right? Like, I'm trying to stay active. I'm trying to get out. I'm trying to do things, but I'm also trying to avoid this coronavirus like the literal plague that it is. So it's been an interesting, I'll say that for sure. But I'm glad that hopefully we are trending in the right direction very, very soon.
Definitely. And you are the director of communications for the USL Championship. I recently started kind of changing my career path and schooling to maybe go into that. Maybe can you shed some light into what it takes in order to become a director of communications for a giant sports league like this?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I will say that I was very, very fortunate in this as well, right? Like I went to IU for sport communications, but I was a broadcaster for 4 years. You know, I was working for the university and was grateful enough to get opportunities on Fox Sports and the Big Ten Network, calling soccer, most important to me, but basketball, football, a whole variety of sports, and that was great. But I landed an internship with Indy 11 as soon as I got out of college. And that's really what was my introduction to professional soccer in that sports landscape. The internship evolved into a social media gig. Social media gig evolved into the PR role. And then I was obviously lucky enough to be presented and blessed enough to be presented with the opportunity in Louisville. But I mean, listen, I'm just one voice in a sea of advice, right? Like, I think there are incredible leaders out there who could point you in great directions, but working hard never hurts. A great attitude, a great relatability never hurts. But I think there's an irreplaceable passion when it comes to soccer, especially, that if it's missing inside of you, if that fire's not burning inside of you, if that light isn't lit, you're just missing out on a lot of what working in sports in general, but what the beautiful game truly offers us here in North America, but in the U.S. especially.
Yeah, so clearly soccer's your go-to, and I mean, who wouldn't want that job? Being involved in a professional sports league. But say soccer's out of the question. There's no league available. What would be the other sport what other league would you try to like kind of sneak in or try to land the job in?
Yeah, that's a brilliant question. I would first and foremost go back to my university, Indiana University, and try and sneak my way onto the basketball team. I don't know if I have any eligibility left, but I can still shoot the occasional three. But I would love to get back into basketball. I grew up in Indiana, where basketball is sort of the king of all kings when it comes to sports in general. But it's always been a huge passion of mine. I grew up a massive Pacers fan in the NBA, a big IU fan as well in the college game. So if soccer wasn't there, basketball. But I'm starting to think, I spent a little time working in golf, and I'm starting to think that the outdoor sports might be king here. So if I have to pivot again, then it would absolutely be on the links, and you would catch me in warm weather all the time. No complaints.
Yeah, golf is something that was very foreign to me up until recently. I didn't even know, I just knew the points were based on bird varieties.
But hey, you'll get to host Tom Brady and Peyton Manning one day. So
yeah,
hard to complain, guys.
Yeah,
definitely. So we got a couple of last questions to wrap it up a little bit. If you had a golden ticket for any type of sporting event that you can attend in any time period and anywhere, what game would you go to?
Wow. It would be really hard, and I'm only saying this because it was the anniversary. It would be really hard to turn down the 2010 World Cup group stage game against Algeria for the U.S. For the sheer pandemonium, not just because it was a crazy game and both sides should have scored multiple times, but of course the fairy tale ending. Everybody loves one of those. I am a huge Liverpool FC fan, so 05 in Istanbul or last year in Madrid would have been fantastic substitutes. I'll take either one of those. But honestly, a World Cup final, pick any World Cup final, right? You're at the Mecca of all Meccas. That's the most watched game of any sport in the world. So it's like to be there, to be able to soak that up. Maybe like 1960 England, when they did the whole thing, or 1994 when we were in the States. Like, I would take something like that, but hard to argue against any of the incredible Brazil teams we've seen, any of the incredible Italian national teams we've seen. That 06 final, that was incredible. Insane. The Zidane headbutt. Listen, I think we could go anywhere. But just send me to a World Cup final and I'd be happy.
All right, who wins a World Cup first, the U.S. men's national team or the Mexican national team?
Wow, great question. I'm inclined to say the Mexican national team because although I was born in 92, I'm 27, so I would argue that although we've gotten a good few punches in, right, we've seen some incredible things. We've had some the Dos Aceros that seem to repeat themselves occasionally.
Again, these games keep coming up in scores. I don't remember.
Jimmy Conrad's clip just popped into my mind.
Yeah. But you can even look at the Gold Cup heartbreak we've had, right? Like, I think when it's come down to a big one, it's been very up in the air. But I think that I would be more inclined to say, look at some of the players that represent the Mexican national team, right? And the United States is slowly getting there. You have Christian Pulisic, who's now rivaling some incredible players on the Mexican side, but it's like you've got players who are starring at Napoli. So Chelsea's great, but you've still got Champions League players and Champions League caliber sides. I also think that I was fortunate enough to work with Gerardo Torrado when he was in Indianapolis with Indy 11, and to see his vision for the Mexican national team, to see what he wants to do on both sides of the ball, but especially for the men, I think I would be inclined to say that that my friends south of the border would be the first ones to lift the golden ball. But man alive, if I was ever proved wrong, let it be right now, because I would never complain if I could see my nation end up lifting
that's our dream as well.
Prizes.
That's our dream as well, man.
I've dreamt of that so much. I think I've dreamt more than we lost. It's weird. I've dreamt that we've lost more World Cups than won. But
I cried after the Nora Penal. I mean, horrible.
Heartbreak. You'll never forgive Iron Robin. He has never been a friend of the program. He will never be a friend of the program.
You are the king and president and leader of U.S. soccer across the board. What are some of the first changes, fundamental changes, that you do to bring the level of U.S. soccer up?
Yeah. First and foremost, more voices, more opinions, more people outside this country and inside this country who have incredible, vast amounts of knowledge for this game, right? I think one thing that we're very good at is building ourselves up and building our network and building our system up. But we can always use outside help. And I think that you can even look at the most recent graduation of our national team class, Landon, Tim, DeMarcus. You've got guys in USL who are able to help build this system and build this country. And then you can look at, again, David Villa in Queens, who is a valuable voice and can help provide real lasting impact and real lasting input as to how we continue to shape soccer in this country. So I would expand it. I would welcome the input of as many soccer minds as possible that we trusted, right? You've got guys who are a little bit older, like Brian McBride, who are heavily involved at that side of the business right now, but I don't think you can ever get enough, right? So consult, tweak. I know that a country this size has just an incredible amount of potential. And I think 2026 is going to be a very ambitious year for U.S. soccer as a whole, not just North American soccer. But you look up the road, you've got Canada and Alphonso Davies, who are always going to do special things. You look down, you've got Carlos Vela. You've got the incredible Mexican national team side that's down there. So it's not like we won't be tested, right? I'm certain that those around us will help refine our processes and refine our game. But I'm hoping it's only for the good of all of us at this stage.
Yeah. I like it. So one last before we take it off. VAR, or no VAR?
I am VAR, and I say that as a Liverpool fan, which probably puts me in a hole with literally everybody else in the English game. But I think it's appropriate. I don't think we need to nitpick everything, right? If we were using VAR for throw-ins, I'd be really upset. If we were using it for like touch things that are going to drastically slow the process of the game. We love soccer because we know when it starts and we know when it ends, right? That's the beauty of the match. But I will say that VAR, I think, is an important process in the world's game as it evolves. You look at some heartbreak that we've seen, right? Frank Lampard's non-goal against Germany is a perfect example. Yes. That changes the tide in the future of a nation's ability to compete. And the penalty. And the we'll call it a little bit of embellishment from Iron Robin's side, but you look at significant events like that, right? Like that's where VAR is meant to step in and correct exactly what we ask it to correct it, and hopefully not much more than that.
Yeah, love it, man, and that's why we love it too, because at the end of the day, we can argue these decisions as much as we want, but you know, it is what it is, and at the end, there's a finite end to this game, penalties or however it may be. But thank you. But thank you, Scott. You want to tell the people where they can go ahead and find you at? I know you also have a podcast up there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Scott Stewart on Twitter, but please follow the USL Championship. Follow the incredible content team we have there. I am part of a two-person podcast led and hosted by our social media manager, Kelsey Steele. So you can find Steele some time when we eventually resume on a regular recording program. But we do have some good stuff coming out later this week. It's an exciting time for the championship, and I can't thank you guys enough for having me on.
Absolutely. And
pleasure,
we welcome you as if you want to ever hop on back, if you ever find yourself in San Diego. I know you got some tacos out there, but I think we got some better tacos down here. Just
no, I'm making my tacos. So whatever tacos someone else is going to make for me, I take those 10 out of 10 times. So
right.
I'll be there.
We'll take you on a tour for tacos down here. Maybe even bring your passport. We'll take you down to TJ.
Legend. That's all I need. Just take me where I need to go for the tacos. We'll be through it over and over again, but that's it for me.
Perfect. All right, Scott, really appreciate it, man. And check him out. Check out his podcast and check out USL Championship. Company man.
There it is.
All
Thanks,
right.
guys.
Appreciate
your time.
Thank you, man.
Later.
Yeah.